Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And one of the main purposes of this channel is to make sure that you're up to date with everything related to World of Warcraft. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering a huge amount of buffs and nerfs to a lot of classes in 10.1.5 that may get you considering re-rolling potentially into a new spec or off of one of these specializations with the changes that are incoming. My long-term goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers. And if you'd like to join me in the journey, it would be greatly appreciated by smashing that subscribe button. But let's get started. There is a big update for evokers and mages, but also some other classes included in this post. For augmentation specifically, your mastery Time Walker is going to grant shifting stands to 1 ally down from 2, and prescience duration has reduced to 18 seconds from 20. Black attunement health bonus has been reduced to 4% from 5, and aspects favor increases black attunement to 10 to 16, down from 12.5 to 20. Ebon Might now increases all of the casting evokers damage by 10% instead of increasing eruptions damage by 20%. Born in Flame has been redesigned. Casting Ebon Might grants burnout immediately and every 3 seconds for 6 seconds, which will reduce the cast time of Living Flame by 100%. This was previously Ebon Might caused Living Flame to be instant cast for its duration. Now, this effect was something that was going to make Augmentation Evoker absolutely broken in PvP. So this is a very substantial nerf and seems to be targeted at them mostly for raid content, as this is overall health increase or speed increase, which is not going to really be too big of a deal in PvP. But this is a pretty heavy nerf hammer, nerf bat to Augmentation Evoker. For preservation, you're seeing a 2% increase to all of your healing abilities. Rewind is now going to rewind 40% of the damage taken in the last 5 seconds down from 50, so a rewind nerf. Exhilarating Burst is now going to increase critical healing effectiveness by an additional 30% per rank, up from 15%. So your burst raid cooldown getting nerfed. A little bit of a group healing buff, so likely, going to feel more like a buff, I think, in PvP. Now, mages, you got a giant paragraph here. Developer notes, after several rounds of updates to Fire and Frost talent trees, each tree has seen a significant boost in power, which in turn has put their overall throughput quite a bit higher than their live counterparts. While some gain in power is to be expected due to these changes, their current tuning has them quite a bit higher than we intend. Due to this, in the latest build, we are reducing the damage of many of their spells to get us a better baseline to work from for the 2 specs, which in turn should make it easier for us to continue to iterate on tuning based on internal and external testing as the Fractures in Time PTR continues to develop. The intent with these tuning changes is to not disrupt the current flow, playstyles, or talent builds that have arisen with the updates, but rather keep the relative balance and breakdown of abilities similar as they are now, but with just a little less output. Thank you for the overwhelming amount of feedback and testing during the Fractures of Time PTR cycles. It has been instrumental to the development of mage updates. So for Fire, you're seeing a 12% living bomb increase. It's still not going to be great in small group content where there's not a lot of mobs to attack. It's still probably going to be bad even with 12%. Pyroblast 12% nerf, Fireball 5% nerf, Fire Blast 12% nerf, Phoenix Flames 12% nerf, Ignite damage 6% nerf, Scorch damage 10% nerf, Flame Strike damage 10% nerf, Flame Patch damage 10% nerf, Unleashed Inferno damage bonus during combustion increased to 50%, up from 45, and fixed an issue that caused critical mass effect to be granted the full value at rank 1. So likely this is kind of snipping you in the butt before you became a god class. With that giant paragraph, I'm not really anticipating you to be like Rep Paladin level in 10.0.7. Now for Frost, Glacial's Assault chance to trigger has been increased to 25%, up from 15. Cryopathy duration increased to 60 seconds, up from 30. Glacial Spike damage has been reduced by 4%. Ice Lance damage nerfed by 12%. Frozen Orb damage nerfed by 12%. Blizzard damage nerfed by 12%. Comet Storm damage nerfed by 12%. Ray of Frost damage nerfed by 12%, Flurry damage nerfed by 12%, Frost Bolt damage nerfed by 12%, and fixed an issue with Thermal Void's Ice Lance extending Icing Veins longer than intended, and fixed an issue with the Icicle damage double dipping with Glacial Spike's mastery bonus. So again, Frost also getting pulled a bit in line here. I was kind of expecting 10.1.5 to be the mage Holy Paladin patch, but with like heavy-handed nerfs like this coming in before it's coming out, it's looking a little bit less likely. For Monk, Generous Pores tooltip has been updated to more accurately describe its functionality. No functionality has changed. Yulon's Grace now stacks up to 10%, down from 20. And for Brewmaster, now tank specs are starting to become a little bit more relevant, so I'm a bit worried about some changes coming in for tanks here. Blackout combo tooltip adjusted to reflect current functionality with Breath of Fire. The following changes have been made to the press the advantage. Stack duration increased to 20 seconds. On hit damage increased to 20% attack power, up from 10. Only triggers from main hand attacks. Triggers on attempted melee attacks, not just successes. Face palm and counter strike apply to all targets hit by bonus keg smash. On hit nature damage no longer buffed by counter strike or blackout combo, and blackout combo now correctly consumed by rising sun kick. Tree surge effectiveness reduced when triggered by press the advantage. So Brewmaster monks out there that understand this lingo, seems like you're getting a bit of a buff here with on hit nature damage increased by 20% of your attack power. So I don't know if this is going to be a net overall positive or negative, but definitely something to be aware of for Brewmaster potentially sneaking into the PvP meta. For Mistweaver, Awakened Phalanx now is going to heal for 70% of the damage done, down from 75. This change is part of the global damage to healing adjustments we've posted about last week. So this is talking about the Nature's Vigil nerfs that are coming in. This is along those same vein. Now Paladin, this was kind of like, you know, everybody was talking about Paladin being the main class here of this patch. So what's going on with you? New talent, Merciful Auras. Your auras restore health to 3 injured allies within 20 yards every 2 seconds. While Aura Mastery is active, heals all allies within 40 yards, and healing is increased by 100%. So you're getting some passive kind of like healing stream totem style of healing. You know, and because it's 3 injured allies, it might be a substantial amount and actually really significant in Arena. Awestruck increases the critical healing of Holy Shock, Holy Light, and Flash of Light by 20%, up from 15, so a bit of a crit healing buff. Seal of Crusader healing increased by 30%. Daybreak now triggers Glimmer of Light's healing at 200% of the value, up from 150%, and Glimmer of Light seems to be like the main heal for Paladins, so a buff to that is going to be felt very substantially. Holy Shock now costs 2.4% of your base mana, down from 2.6. Flash of Light's healing has just been increased by 10% to 35%. Holy Light's healing has been increased by 10% to 25%. These are the types of throughput nerf buffs Paladin would really like to get right now. I really feel like Paladins kind of wish this was happening right now. Blessing of Seasons now shares a choice node with Merciful Auras. Tears Deliverance base duration has been increased to 20 seconds, up from 10. So Tears Deliverance might see a bit more play. This is a really fun ability in Legion for Holy Paladins. The duration of Tears Deliverance healing increase effect has been increased to 12 seconds, up from 10. And Boundless Salvation can now extend Tears Deliverance by up to 40 seconds, down from 50, but you know, up to 40 still a lot. Tears Deliverance base duration did not feel competitive with other singular talent points within the final section of the tree. We're increasing its duration and reducing the effectiveness of Boundless Salvation accordingly, with the goal of each talent point spent standing on its own merits while leaving a similar overall power level. Holy Prism now radiates healing or damage to targets within 30 yards, up from 15. Not going to be noticeable in PvP. Hammer of Wrath now costs 1% of your base mana. Did this not cost mana before? Paladins, let me know in the comments down below. Glimmer of Light healing. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. Is increased by 400%, down from 450%. I think that's going to make sense. And they've updated the starter build for Holy Paladin. Holy Paladin's still looking very promising with those baseline throughput buffs. For protection, Shining Light tooltip adjusted to clarify that it only removes the Holy Power cost from Word of Glory and not the mana cost. For Discipline Priest, new talent, Luminous Barrier. Create a shield on all allies within 40 yards, absorbing damage on each of them for 10 seconds. Absorption increased by 100% when not in a raid. Luminous Barrier returns as a choice node against Power Word Barrier. Again, Power Word Barrier is not affected by dampening because it's damage reduction, and absorptions are, so I don't see this scene play in PvP. Yeah, I think they also removed the talent that would have reduced the cooldown of this, the PP talent, I'm pretty sure. Outlaw Rogue, finally some attention for Rogue. Ghostly Strike's effect has been changed to correctly match his tooltip description, only increasing damage of Rogue abilities, and you're just getting a 9% damage buff. Finally, some buffs here for Outlaw Rogue. A little bit of attention. Maelstrom weapon trigger rate increased to 20%, up from 16% for enhancement. So you're going to get to 5 stacks of Maelstrom faster, or 10 in a lot of cases. For Warlock, Grimoire of Sacrifice no longer has a duration and no longer be removed when logging out and during instances or between rounds of solo shuffle. Nice little quality of life change for Warlock. Love to see that. Cross-realm trading. You're going to be able to trade gold and items to whatever characters you want cross-server. So I can finally get the gold off my dead servers onto my live server. Really nice to see this. For professions, precognition embellishment no longer grants a haste bonus. Precog's dead, guys. Precog's dead, no longer granting a haste bonus. It's going to be still good for crowd control avoidance, but that was a really big benefit to casters, so this might completely change the meta. It's the smallest amount of text, but this actually might completely change the meta. Now, PvP changes. Death Knight. Spell Warden is no longer going to reduce the duration of anti-magic shells, so being able to use AMS on your allies. They must have watched the finals of the AWC. It felt like Death Knights needed that, so you're going to get that on top of the changes that they talked about towards sustained damage moving forward. For Augmentation, Evoker. Born in Flame has been slightly redesigned. Casting Ebon Might grants burnout immediately and every 3 seconds for 6 seconds, reducing the cast time of Living Flame by 100%. So I wonder if this was meant to be in the PvP section and not the PvE section, because I thought this is a PvP ability, but this is a big nerf. Ebon Might is no longer increased in PvP combat. It was previously increased by 45%. Upheaval damage increased by 15% PvP combat, down from 50. And Eruption damage increased by 50% PvP combat, down from 100. So they're definitely reining in the tuning on Augmentation Evoker. Breath of the Eons is no longer magic dispellable, and Lava Shield has been completely removed. This is a problematic ability that I was worried was going to turn Augmentation Evokers into another prop paladin. Developers notes, if you're not comfortable with the number of absorbs and interrupt immunities Augmentation had, and the pool of PvP talents has a good number of options to choose from already. So you're not going to be getting this OP shield that makes you immune to interrupts, and I think it was crowd control effects as well. Maybe it was just interrupts, but these are some really big nerfs to Augmentation Evoker. Bit worried for their overall viability. For Mage, improved mass ability PvP talent is now available for Fire and Frost. Diverted energy healing reduced by 75% in PvP combat, up from 50%. I think this is your barriers heal your allies or something like that. So this must have been really good to get another 25% nerf. Flow of time reduced by 50% PvP combat. Developers notes this is intended to nullify the changes in the recent updates to diverted energy and flow of time in PvP combat. So still going to be about the net same. Arcane Mages. Arcane Surge is going to increase your spell power by 25% PvP combat, down from 35. Arcane Blast is going to deal 85% damage when cast with Presence of Mind in PvP combat. Is that a nerf? It's 85% of 100, right? So I think that's a nerf. You guys are getting nerfed. Rip Arcane, you guys are getting nerfed. For Fire Mages, Unleashed Inferno damage increased is now 33% effective in PvP combat. Sun King's Blessing damage increase is now 40% effective in PvP combat. Flame Accelerant's damage increase is now 60% effective in PvP combat. Wildfire's Critical Strike damage is now 75% effective in PvP combat. Wildfire's Critical Strike damage effect during combustion is now 67% effective in PvP combat. Pyrokinesis has been removed. So this is all in line with the mage changes in general. Glacial Assault damage increase reduced by 50% PvP combat. Chiropathy damage per stack reduced by 40% PvP combat. Ice Lance damage is increased by 15% PvP combat, down from 34%. And Winter's Blessing haste reduced by 50% PvP combat. Frigid Empowerment reduced by 33% PvP combat. And Splitting Ice damage to secondary targets for Ebon Bolt and Glacial Spike has been reduced by 50% PvP. You guys must have been crazy overpowered, man. Oh my god, you guys are getting insane nerfs. For Holy Paladin, Cleanse the Weak. Oh god, are they finally fixing this? When you cleanse an ally, one ally within 40 yards is dispelled of the same effects, but the cooldown of cleanse is increased by 4 seconds. Healing allies with your Flash of Light and Holy Light will cleanse all diseases and poisons from the target. Are they really bringing back the poison dispel thing that completely destroyed DKs and rogues? I mean, you got to use a casted heal to get it. I don't think it was casted healing before. But this in Legion like completely destroyed Death Knights and rogues. That's really troublesome. But I mean, Elite Shamans are pretty happy about this, and Boomkins and Destrolocks and stuff like that. This change, well, considering Paladin is likely going to be really strong with changes that have come in. Flash of Light's healing is increased by 40% PvP combat, down from 50, and Holy Light's healing is increased by 60% PvP combat, down from 75. So these offset the buffs that you got, I think, right, from up above. Oh, that's tragic. Divine Plea now reduces healing and damage done by 30%, down from 50. I'm really glad Divine Plea mechanic's coming back. Glimmer of Light's damage will no longer trigger on players who are in breakable crowd control. So nice quality of life change, so you can play with crowd control classes. The stored damage from Catharsis is now reset when an arena match or solo shelf round ends. No more cheese mechanics for priests with Catharsis. For Discipline Priest, Purification and Purified Resolve have been merged into one talent, granting Purify 2 charges and granting your target a shield when Purify removes harmful effects from them. So trying to create more, honor talent viability. For Holy Priest, Divine Hymn healing is increased by 75% in PvP combat. I was just playing my Holy Priest today. I thought it was going to be a Holy Priest meta right now for the tournament this weekend. I'm happy to see that. New PvP talent, Seraphic Crescendo. Reduces the cooldown of Divine Hymn by 60 seconds and causes it to channel 50% faster. Additionally, the healing bonus from Divine Hymn now lasts an additional 10 seconds. They really want Divine Hymn to be good. Purification and Purified Resolve have been merged into one talent. This is granting Purify 2 charges and granting your shield your shield when Purify removes harmful effects. And Strength of Soul has been removed, and as well for Shadow. So that's the Powered Shield, gives you some damage reduction to physical damage. So pretty heavy-handed nerfs in this build to Augmentation Evoker and Mage. We'll have to wait and see where they end up resolving. Paladin looks like it's probably going to be the same place it was before these changes, with everything the offset for PvP. Big one is Precog. Precog is gone. Well, you're probably still going to play it as a caster, just for the crowd control immunities against some classes. You might want to create a second crafted item maybe to flip around when you don't need it. But I think it was necessary. That makes a lot of sense to remove the haste from it. So that is good. And we'll just have to wait and see what moves on from here in the next update. Other than that, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope that you enjoyed it and got something out of it. And I will see you in the next one.